I was wondering what it was like growing up in Cleveland with the whole like punk scene going on. Were you around or
I
partaking
missed
in
it
that?
all. No, the whole, like, I came to New York in 1972.
Oh wow! How old were you?
I was just turned 18.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I moved to New York, and I was like studying painting. I wanted to be a painter, and I didn't really have anything to do with music except that, well, I got a piano and I got a harp. I bought a harp. And I started playing. I started taking lessons and playing the harp. And I sort of drifted from painting into harp music, but I didn't play in bands or anything like that. I was very sort of asocial musically. I never played in bands. I never did the sort of regular things that people do. I grew up in one of those houses where, like, nobody's allowed to come visit you, or, it's like the sort of, the house that nobody goes to.
So you're very much a recluse in that time period?
Kind of, as a musician. I mean, I'm not a reclusive person, but as a musician, it was like always just me. Like I played the harp and I played it on the street and for money, but it was always just me,
Did you ever meet Arthur Russell, or?
It's a familiar name, but I don't think so.
He was a famous musician in New York at that time, but he was very much a recluse. He was a celloist. Beautiful, beautiful music. If you ever get an opportunity to listen to
I've heard of him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard of him. Yeah, but no, I never met him. Never knew him. So yeah, I was kind of like in my own little world, and then I moved from that. I guess I was sort of broadening out a little bit. I started to conduct choirs. I had like a choir that I conducted.
Yeah, I've read that.
And
for many years.
Well, and then I became that like professionally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the beginning, it was just doing it, just for the love of it and whatever. And so that was a little bit more of a step towards like working with others, But it was still, it's like in that kind of situation, it's like me and, it wasn't as much, it wasn't like a collaboration.
Right.
Like I never had that until very recently in my life. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about how backward and, alone I was as a musician. It was just totally just stupid me,
Have you ever worked with Douglas Pierce from Death in June?
No, I never met any of those guys. They sound a little scary, actually.
Yeah, I was going to kind of ask you about that. That's why I was curious, because I know that they play on the current 93 records. They played on
on the early ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know anything about any of that. I mean, like, when all of that was happening, I was up in a choir loft up in the Bronx someplace.
Right.
And I don't have a clue about any of that kind of thing. I mean, I've heard some of the, actually, I haven't even heard that many of David's albums at that time. So, yeah.
David was much different back then as well.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Everything was different, yeah.
How would you compare Cleveland now to how Cleveland was growing up?
I don't know. Well, it was a lot more sort of, it was a little bit more rough around the edges, like the characters in the song, kids, like there was a kid, he was a huge influence on that last album. There's a kid named Kent Lang, who was just this, he was a child of that time, and he had this, his father was just this, nobody ever saw the guy, but you knew he was there because you could hear Kent screaming.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time anybody saw Kent Lang was the day, not Kent, but Kent Lang's father. The only time anybody ever laid eyes on him was the day he came out and beat up Bobby Slot.
Yeah, that record is very intense.
There was some scary shit going on, but that was just like regular, and people thought of it as just like we were just regular people, regular you know, with a regular life on a regular block and the kind of shit that happened.
I had a very intense childhood growing up, so I can definitely see that aspect in the music, that things you've seen and how they influence you. Is a lot of, I can personally feel that because of the way I grew up.
Right.
So that's always nice. I like that that quote you had in an interview that you said that teeth are the only bones that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's just, it's kind of like, what's left when you get, that song is all about when things go, when you get to the bad place,
Right.
and you just gotta you just gotta hang in somehow or whatever, but there's a place where it's just, there's nothing nice about it, and there's nothing nice about you or anybody else at the time, you know what I mean? Everybody's been to a place like that in their life, where it's just
or if they haven't, they're going to go there.
Yeah. I think, maybe not everybody, but I think most of us end up in these hard places at some point,
But I think that they make us who we are at the same time as well. How do you feel like being in Europe and then coming back here and seeing how our country has done this thing in Arizona about immigration and things like that? How do you feel about?
What have they done?
It's basically like Gestapo, style reinforcement, where they're pretty much, if you don't have your green card on you, they can pretty much deport you.
Really?
If you don't have your ID, or it's
That's
pretty brutal.
If they suspect you of being an illegal alien, they can ask you for your papers.
And if you don't have them, then they can just take you away and lock you up. This is.
And they couldn't do that before.
No, it's against the American. It's against the American Constitution.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
It's just sad to see
so horrible
where our country is going now.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. There were all these. When I worked in the Bronx, there were tons of Mexicans in that neighborhood. The Mexicans were slowly taking over. They were more and more. All from Puebla, and they were just lovely people, just so good. That's the worst thing about it. It's bad. It's bad to. The whole thing is just bad. Even if the Mexicans were a bunch of thugs, it'd be bad,
Right.
But these are like the sweetest, gentlest, most harmless people you've ever.
And all they want to do is build a better life for
Yeah,
themselves, and that's kind of what a foundation of our country is.
Yeah.
So it's sad to see it changing into this.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I'm really happy about that Obama is the president, because I just have a feeling that
Things will start to turn around
a little bit. Yeah, you can't. It's like the ocean liner. You know what I mean? You can't just go.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
Sometimes it's hard for me to remember that.
Yeah.
Is it kind of weird to be on tour with a record that came out 7 or 8 years ago?
Well, it didn't really, because that's the thing, though. It didn't come out 7 or 8 years ago. It was just slipped into the water.
Because it came out with a book and there was only 150
it was just a book, and there was just one, very what's the word? Just the way I recorded it was very slipshod, and there was no effort made to make it fine or to present it at its best. I made no effort to do that.